This radar lock is really weird right now. Hold on. Did I just shoot down 2 planes with the same missile? Well, I'll be damned. 2 people brought prop planes into a top tier match, and then I killed both of them with the same missile. That was neat. Hello, I am Aoyolaipe, and I like to hop into top tier matches in War Thunder and then personally kill the entire enemy team by myself. Welcome to my channel. When I first told other YouTubers that I was going to make a video on the F-4 JUK, their reaction was confusion and disappointment. They were like, dude, Gaijin lets you fly any plane that you want in this game, and you pick that one? Why? Fly literally any other plane. That plane is naughty word. And then I was just sent competing lists of reasons why this plane sucks, and those are just the guys who let me screenshot their responses. So thanks for that. I'll link their channels in the description. Given that the mere idea of spending part of my test drive allocation on this plane appears to be offensive, I guess my viewers will probably be confused why I'm flying this thing. So let's back up a little bit. There are 15 F-4 Phantoms in this game. These 9 you see here are pretty similar. Let's just call them standard Phantoms, which is a term I just made up for sake of simplicity. They all have 4 rear aspect infrared missiles, 4 semi-active radar missiles, and countermeasures, and until the other day they also had identical battle ratings. Because the standard Phantoms all have the same basic airframe and also have missiles with similar capabilities, their playstyles are fairly similar. However, these planes do have a number of differences and trade-offs. What's unique about the F-4 junk, as it's often called, is that it basically gets the ass end of every single one of those trade-offs. It's just a straight downgrade over everything else. Also, when Gaijin rejiggered the battle ratings they split the standard Phantoms into 2 battle ratings and gave this one the higher of the 2. So I figured I could explain how to fly all of the standard Phantoms by shooting down an entire team with this piece of crap, and then pointing out where the other Phantoms would do the same job even better. Also, I got a new computer the day I filmed this match, and I messed up the driver for my graphics card, so I'm gonna be lagging on and off this whole match. So I guess I'm fighting with 2 or 3 hands tied behind my back today. Man, imagine watching your entire team get shot down by a laggy F-4 junk. Alright, so the first thing you gotta understand about the F-4 Phantom is that it is a missile truck. Like, the idea behind this plane when it was being designed in real life was that dogfighting is dead, so let's build this thing from the ground up to just spam missiles at enemy planes. So that of course means that the key challenge for most players when flying any F-4 Phantom in this game is overcoming their innate gut reaction to always turn fight people. This was actually one of the main challenges for like actual real life F-4 Phantom pilots. As it turns out, real-life dogfighting wasn't quite dead in the 1960s and 70s when like the people designing the Phantom thought it would be. So during the Vietnam War, a lot of F-4 Phantoms got shot down by like frickin' MiG-17s because the Phantom pilots would be like, hey, let's turn after this guy and get a kill, and then they were the kill, and then they'd spend like 6 or 7 years in the Hanoi Hilton, and that would really suck. The original F-4 Phantoms were famously built without an internal gun, and there were a lot of senior officers in the Vietnam War that resisted the idea of adding one to the plane. This is often made fun of being like a classically dumb military decision, but the basic reason they didn't want to add the gun was that they thought if they gave all of the Phantoms a gun, a not insignificant number of their pilots would be dumb enough to try to use it when they shouldn't. The point is that in this game, the Phantom sucks at turn and burn dogfighting. Some Phantoms have the Agile Eagle upgrade, yes, but the Agile Eagle upgrade just means that they suck less at dogfighting. It doesn't mean they should do it. Like, this thing is good at speed and firepower, so you use the speed and firepower. So, how exactly do you do that? Good question. I'm going to explain now. It's best to think of the F-4 Phantom as being able to switch between being a sniper and being a jouster. You can stay far away from the fight, or you can plow through it as quickly as possible. But you never take an F-4 Phantom into the shit and stay there. You're a big target with less than ideal energy retention, you will die. Since the Phantom is very fast, you can and should use your superior speed to keep your distance from enemy players. Some standard Phantoms have upgraded engines, including all of the British Phantoms, with the sole exception of the F-4 JUK, of course. Personally, unless I see a good opening, I try to keep enemies at least 2 to 3 kilometers away, but it depends on context and there's room for different personal styles, so don't take that as an exact number, more as a general rule of thumb. But that is, in general, how you play the sniper role. Now, if you do screw up and you wind up with someone on your tail like I did with that F8 you saw a moment ago, just stop on your rudder and gyrate your plane like this. You'll be a real pain in the ass to hit with a cannon, and you should be able to outrun them and get out of range before they can hit you. However, if there's a furball, you can fly through it very quickly. That's the jouster roll. If you've ever seen my dogfighting guide, I'll link it at the end of this video, Pay close attention to the part where I explained how to outrun someone's turn. I do it while backflipping my plane through a wall of bullets, and then I wall hack my way around the map, circle back, and kill everyone with a massive energy advantage. I'm a bit of a show-off sometimes. Anyways, you can use that exact principle of outrunning turns to fly through a furball very quickly, blasting whoever's available without giving anyone else a good opportunity to shoot you back. And this will work reasonably well for any reasonably fast plane, not just the F-4 Phantom, but the F-4 Phantom is one of the best planes at exploiting this. Now, the problem with this approach is that it means the F-4 Phantom basically takes its targets as it finds them. If you find a target that is flying perpendicular to you, it often won't be worth it for you to slide in behind them for a rear aspect shot. That's a problem because the infrared missiles on standard Phantoms are rear aspect only, and if you're playing this plane to its strengths, you will have limited control over whether or not you're actually able to get an infrared missile lock on enemy planes. Now, the radar missiles this thing carries are all aspect by definition, so I generally use infrared missiles whenever the opportunity presents itself, and then use radar missiles or the gun pod whenever infrared missiles aren't available. Still, there is admittedly a mismatch between the weapons this thing carries and the sort of things the plane itself was designed to be good at. This is the main reason I don't fly standard Phantoms that often, but I love the Kronos 2000 and the F-4 Ice. All of the missiles on those planes are all aspect, so the weapons and the airframe synergize really well, and I'm sure I'll also love the EJ Kai whenever I get to the Japanese tech tree, which is the next tech tree on my list. Now, as odd as it sounds, if you're flying a standard Phantom, you can fix this plane weapon synergy problem by using countermeasures. In Arcade, which, if you haven't figured out it by now, is the game mode you're watching, and of course Arcade is the best game mode because it gives you enough ammo to kill the entire enemy team by yourself, so there's no skill cap. Countermeasures reload, and knowing how to utilize that when flying a Phantom is really important. If you are one of multiple targets that an enemy player can choose to attack, the most powerful thing you can do is to be the least convenient target to shoot at. And if you're dropping countermeasures, you're a pain in the ass to shoot at. So if you're dropping countermeasures when no one is attacking you, the vast majority of players who could attack you will simply decide to not attack you and go attack someone else instead. Using countermeasures preemptively is really important for standard Phantoms, because while you're spamming countermeasures, way less people will jump you. This buys you extra wiggle room to maneuver for rear aspect infrared missile shots without really opening yourself up to attack all that often. If you really want to see this taken to the extreme, go see my Kronos 2000 video, which is one of my most popular. I had a guy leave me a comment under that video saying that he watched it while high and it made him scared. Anyways, what this all means is that the more countermeasures you have, the longer you can spam them preemptively, which means the more time you have to find the 4 best rear aspect infrared missile shots you can get. You basically want to balance your missile use with your countermeasure use, and then once you run out of both, you retreat from the fight, fly away using your great speed, and then reload your missiles and countermeasures at the same time in safety. Quick side note, this is why I really don't like the Su-27. It has a ton of missiles but not that many countermeasures, so it's really tricky to balance their usage. For my Su-27 video, I basically just seal clubbed it down to our Mountain Ridge, added sitcom music, and then never touched that plane ever again. Now, among the standard Phantoms, the F-4J UK is, of course, tied for the lowest number of countermeasures. So with this plane, the countermeasures don't buy me a whole lot of time. So I will basically take the first 4 rear aspect shots I stand a snowball's chance in hell of actually hitting, and sometimes I'll shoot 2 missiles at the same target. Like, if you want to survive while flying this plane, you need to work quickly. Now, curiously, some standard Phantoms have a pulse Doppler radar and some don't. Pulse Doppler is harder to defeat and better at picking targets out of ground clutter, so you can more effectively use your radar missiles if your Phantom has it. However, the Phantoms without pulse Doppler tend to have more countermeasures, and having more countermeasures means you can more effectively use your infrared missiles. So basically, some of the Phantoms are a little better at using radar missiles, and some are a little better at using infrared missiles. It's just that only half of that trade-off is obvious. Now, the F-4 junk does have pulse Doppler, but its radar missiles suck. I mean, they're not abysmally bad. If you shoot them people, they'll generally kill them. But the Sky Flashes, they're not AIM-7Fs, that's for sure. Okay, so the last thing to explain is the gun pod. Okay, so gun pods in general have a lot of drag, so on most planes they're not worth taking because it will noticeably affect your flight performance. Some Phantoms, however, don't have an internal gun, so you kind of have to take one, and those are one of the obvious exceptions to the don't take gun pods rule. However, it's often worthwhile to take a gun pod even on Phantoms that do have internal guns. The reason why is that the gun pod is less accurate, and that's actually a huge advantage in arcade. If your gun is perfectly accurate, it's basically a laser, and you aim just a little bit off your target, your stream of bullets will very accurately miss your target. However, if you have an inaccurate gun, most of your bullets will still go to where they're supposed to, but a few bullets will stray off to one side, and you only need a few hits with a 20mm cannon to kill someone. So an inaccurate cannon will turn a near miss into a hit. However, this comes at the cost of needing to expend extra ammunition to actually kill someone. But that doesn't matter in arcade because ammo reloads and gun pods have plenty of ammo. So even on F-4 Phantoms that do have an internal gun, I will sometimes take a gun pod anyways, just so I can run around shotgunning people with it. The utility you get and the hit to the flight performance you get is a close enough run thing that sometimes I take it, sometimes I don't. It depends how I'm feeling like playing. So anyways, that entire team just died, and now you know how to fly an F-4 Phantom. I'd like to thank the team over at AMD Adrenaline, which is that company's driver updater, for making my game laggy for a few days until I figure out what they did to it. That was sarcasm by NVIDIA. And remember, if you subscribe and ring the bell, you won't need to remember how to spell Oiolaipe next time you want to watch one of my videos.